April 25th, 2021. Lenawee County, Michigan. A Sunday morning in spring. Dee Warner's daughter, Rickle, lived half a mile from her mother's farm, close enough to see the house from her own front yard. She drove over for their weekly Sunday breakfast. No sign of her mom. Both cars still on the property. Phone going to voicemail. Dee Warner was 52, mother of 5, co-owner of a trucking company, a farm, and a fertilizer business. Everyone who knew her described the same thing: tough, generous, hardworking, someone who held everything together. Her husband Dale told police she'd been upset after a fight with employees the day before. He'd noticed her makeup bag, hair dryer, and curling iron were gone. He said she'd done this before, left when she was angry. He wasn't alarmed, and the people who actually knew Dee were alarmed immediately. Her brother, Gregg Hardy, organized 50 people to search the farmland around the property that same weekend. Dale showed up on a 4-wheeler. Didn't really participate. That's when Gregg started paying attention to Dale Warner. Here's the detail that told him everything he needed to know. About 6 weeks after Dee disappeared, Gregg confronted Dale directly, asked how he thought the investigation was going. Dale said it felt a little slow, but okay. A man whose wife had been missing for 6 weeks. Slow, but okay. Gregg accused him of lying on the spot and vowed to get him. Police searched repeatedly. No sign of Dee, dead or alive. No evidence of violence. Dale spoke to investigators voluntarily, allowed them to search his property multiple times. On the surface, a cooperating husband. But the evidence building quietly underneath told a completely different story. Between January 2019 and April 2021, the 2 years leading up to Dee's disappearance, Dale had checked her location 2,100 times. Surveillance cameras on their property had been placed by Dee herself because she didn't trust him. In the days before she vanished, Dee had told Dale she was done. She wanted a divorce. She wanted to sell the trucking business. Dale Warner had motive. He had access. And he had no alibi that held up. But there was no body, and without a body, prosecutors weren't moving. So Gregg Hardy did something unusual. He hired a private investigative attorney named Billy Little, a man he found after watching a 48 Hours episode about a different no-body murder case. Little came to Lenawee County and got to work. He talked to witnesses, walked the property, flew drones over the farmland looking for disturbed earth. And then he gave Gregg an idea that would put Dale Warner's face in front of every truck driver in the county. A billboard, right at a major intersection near the Warner farm. In big letters, "Help Dale Find Dee." It was sarcastic, deliberate, designed to put psychological pressure on a man they believed was performing grief while knowing exactly where his wife was. The community rallied. Justice for Dee signs went up across Lenawee County. Vigils, rallies, Gregg Hardy lobbying state police to take over from the county sheriff. In August 2022, 16 months after Dee disappeared, Michigan State Police took over the case. In November 2023, with still no body found, they arrested Dale Warner anyway, charged him with murder and tampering with evidence. Prosecutors believed they could prove Dee was dead and Dale was responsible even without remains. Dale rejected a plea deal, pleaded not guilty, said through his attorney he was prepared to fight. Then in August 2024, 3 years after Dee vanished, investigators found her, hidden inside a sealed fertilizer tank on Dale's own property. The tank had been resealed and repainted, moved by Dale using a backhoe loader after he learned police were planning to bring cadaver dogs to search the farm. Drone footage captured him moving it. Dee Warner's cause of death: strangulation, and blunt force trauma to the head. She had been dead before her body was placed in the tank. One of the last things Dee had said to her daughter before she disappeared, "I watch Dateline every night, and he could do something like that to me." She knew, and she still couldn't get out in time. Trial began February 2026. The jury heard about 2,100 location checks, about surveillance cameras, about internet searches Dale had made on chemical cremation and disposing of tanks, about fingerprints and matching paint samples linking him to the tank, about how he moved heavy equipment the morning Dee disappeared, and how her phone went silent early that same morning. On March 10th, 2026, nearly 5 years after Dee Warner vanished, the jury found Dale Warner guilty of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. He buckled slightly when the verdict was read, became teary-eyed. His attorney put a hand on his arm. On May 7th, 2026, he was sentenced to 31 to 70 years in prison. Gregg Hardy fought every day for 5 years, paid for the billboard, organized the searches, hired the investigator, lobbied the state police, never stopped. "I fought every day for 5 years," he said outside the courthouse. "It was very difficult to get validation. It took nearly to the very end." A woman who knew what her husband was capable of, a brother who refused to let the case go cold, and a fertilizer tank on a farm in Michigan that held the truth for 3 years. ShadowDossier. Subscribe so you catch the next case.